Top 10 NFL teams that should have won it all. Number 10, 1988 Cincinnati Bengals. Now, when you take a look at what I'm talking about with what I'm trying to preach about teams that should have won it all, I'm talking about teams that were just right there. Like, they were right there. Most of the teams definitely lost in the Super Bowl. One of them didn't reach the Super Bowl, but the reasoning is to be a team that should have won it all has to be a team that was gold. Like, they were gold the entire year. Like, they were destined to do something great, and they just came up short. You know, they didn't play their best football, and they didn't get it done. But this was a team that, even though they didn't get it done that day, any other day they would have gotten it done. They should have been there. They should have won it all. And it's just my countdown of my personal opinion of who really should have won it all. Granted, if it went on their side, they would have won it all. But, you know, like I said, history and sports, that's what sports is. It's a beautiful thing about sports is that teams sometimes that are meant to win it don't win it. So, but yeah, no, seriously, this is what I enjoy. I really enjoy talking about this kind of thing. And we're starting with the 1988 Bengals, first of all. That team really, honestly, they were an underdog against the 49ers, for sure. So that's why they are low, you know. But for a 12-4 team that was first in their division, led by a pretty nice coach, Sam Wyke was pretty good. I mean, they were first in points. They were 28 points per game. They allowed 20.6 points a game. Their defense was ranked 16th in terms of the points-wise. And, they won against Seattle. They won against Buffalo. And they just came up really short in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. The reason that they really, truly, a team that should have won it all, really because Boomer Esiason, QB, was the MVP of that year. Had a really great year. You had guys like Ickey Woods, You had Chris Collinsworth, actually is a very underrated receiver of all time, but really he was really, really good. I'm telling you, he was a guy that was very valuable for this team. And Ickey Woods, James Brooks, like I said, Chris Collinsworth, Eddie Brown, those kind of guys. The tight end was Rodney Hallman. They had a really nice line led by Anthony Munoz, Hall of Famer. And their defense wasn't the best. It really wasn't the best. But they did get it done when they could, and that's why they reached the Super Bowl, Definitely players that people don't really know, but, you're looking at a team that got to the Super Bowl with great coaches around them versus the 49ers, and it was an epic Super Bowl, and a big thing of why they really, truly deserve to win it all. They had a great year, even with unknown names, in a small kind of market kind of team. Cincinnati isn't like a big free agency kind of target in a way. But, you're looking at a team that was up by 3 points, Up by 3 points to the 49ers late in the fourth quarter. And Joe Montana proved, once again, why he's the best QB of the 80s of the time. And for a while, why he was the best quarterback of all time until this number 12 came in to the picture. But, you're looking at the 49ers-wise, like, team of the 80s for sure, but it could have changed completely. Bengals could have snatched one. They had to play them like I'm pretty sure they played each other in 82, 81. I'm trying to think earlier in the 80s, and right there they were definitely very close as well. But you're looking at this game, and they were very close, very, very close to winning it all, and especially being a team that only allowed 13 points. Now, like they only allowed San Francisco 13 points through the four quarters. An offense that was fantastic. Defense that was really underrated, but offensively, you're expecting a team to score a lot of points from this team, and they didn't. And they shut them down for a while. They did a great job of making sure that they played their hearts out, and they were the underdogs. It would have been a great story if they won it, but they didn't, unfortunately, because greatness in San Francisco. Number 9, 1967 Dallas Cowboys. Yes, I'm putting this Cowboys team in there that got defeated by the Green Bay Packers for one big reason. First of all, it's not about the record. It's not about how their entire team was, because their team definitely was not the best out this year. The reason is they went into Lambeau, and both those teams deserve to win. I honestly believe I would have loved to see a Dallas Green Bay Super Bowl if they were both in different conferences. I just feel like those two teams to play in that extreme of weather and to still respectively have a score of 21-17 in weather that was freezing freezing. Negative 13 degrees was literally without wind chill. Wind chill was negative 23. The wind was 15 miles an hour, and that kind of weather in Lambeau Field. Both these teams deserve to really have a shot at winning the Super Bowl, in my opinion. For sure, those two teams deserve a Super Bowl. Green Bay, I'm not acknowledging anything. They deserve to win that Super Bowl. Of course, they were fantastic. They were hard. They were a great defense. Everything was on point. They had a great coach in Vince Lombardi. Everything was great. There's nothing wrong with them winning. I have no problem with them winning. They deserve a Super Bowl championship that they got this year because that was a very rough place to play in terms of the weather, and they got it done. But Dallas, on the other hand, lost this game. Can you imagine the mentality of we lost and I'm freezing, but we lost? Like that's a bit of a knife through the heart right there. It sucks when you lose, but you also lose in cold weather. Oof, that's the worst. And that's where I'm getting at with this team, is that this team is truly and should have tons of respect for what they did, because they went out there and they played their hearts out. They really did. They tried to play as hard as they can in the most toughest conditions possible, and they were pretty darn close to winning it all, to winning it in terms of the championship. And I feel like Dallas definitely deserved to win a Super Bowl if they got through this game because of what they had to go through, which was terrible weather. And like I said, this was before Captain America came, which is Roger Staubach. This is, definitely before he came. But so I feel like this team definitely deserved to have a shot at having it all. So in my opinion, no, everyone wins in this situation. Green Bay deserved it, but I'm saying if Dallas won there, they should have won the Super Bowl. So this is definitely a team that I believe definitely should have won it. Definitely. Number 8, the 1998 Minnesota Vikings. My voice, I am messing up. Anyway, so let's get back to it. 15-1 team. This team was dominant offensively. Defensively, really respected. I feel like underappreciated for the most part, but they were a pretty dynamic football team. A team that, yes, really should have won this NFC Championship game against the Atlanta Falcons, which was not, they were not better than this Vikings team. They just ran into some luck. Falcons got to the Super Bowl and got demolished by the Denver Broncos. I feel like Vikings win this game, they would have won the Super Bowl. They were high-flying offense. They were all over. They were a fantastic team. And, I mean, you look at this roster from top to down. I mean, Randall Cunningham was fantastic. Robert Smith, running back, had a great year. Chris Carter, Randy Moss, great duo. Unbelievable duo. And they also had Jake Reed and Andrew Glover, which was pretty nice targets. Their offensive line, pretty good. I mean, for the most part, people would know who Randall McDaniel is. So that's like the key offensive line guy. I mean, defensive-wise, you can't forget John Randall. One of the best defensive tackles of all time. Ed McDaniel at middle linebacker was fantastic that year. Dwayne Rudd had a pretty good year. You're looking at the secondary. Corey Fuller, Jimmy Hitchcock, Robert Griffith at the strong safety. They had a really nice defense. And the kicker, Gary Anderson, well, he had a really good year. He really did. He was actually perfect. 35 for 35 field goal wise, and 59 for 59 extra points. So, honestly, this was a team that was complete, was ready to go. They beat down the Arizona Cardinals in the divisional round, 41-21. And Dennis Green's definitely, pretty good coach. Leads his team to the NFC Championship game. They're up by 7 points. And, unfortunately, they drove down, 57 seconds left, and they got the 27-27 tie, And honestly, when you look at it, last seconds of it, they had a chance of winning it to Gary Anderson, a guy that never missed. And he missed. He missed a field goal in the dome, and especially missing for the first time in the year. Like he never misses, and he missed a field goal, a critical field goal, overtime. Morton Anderson, not related. He sends them to the Super Bowl, Atlanta. So he sends Atlanta to the Super Bowl, but it should have been Minnesota's Super Bowl. Like, honestly, they shouldn't have been in this entire situation in the first place. I feel like, honestly, they were up 7-20 at the second quarter. And yes, they allowed a touchdown before the half, 14-20. But in my honest opinion, there was a point in time where you were up by 10 in the fourth quarter. You shouldn't have allowed more points. I mean, honestly, if you were a really good defense, you would have stopped that, honestly. Now, no, I'm not trying to criticize them. I'm just saying there's also a reason why they didn't win it. All these teams, there's a reason why they didn't win it. They didn't execute at the right time. But this team, with this offense, with everything they had, should have been in the Super Bowl, should have won it all. Number 7, 2001 St. Louis Rams. 2001 St. Louis Rams is a team that, honestly, I feel for really bad. So, New England got through some breaks. Tuck rule. This Super Bowl later would be speculated for cheating. In terms of reading and, I guess, apparently getting hold of the opponent's schemes and everything. And just, kind of making sure that they had the advantage. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. All I know is that what if that was actually the case? The Rams, even with that, should have won it anyway. So I don't think a book with knowing your schemes, even if they know your schemes, I feel like, honestly, yes, it is an advantage, but if you're a great team, you'll play with that. You'll play great without all this nonsense. If they are cheating, okay. Just be a great team and get it, and they didn't. Honestly, New England, it definitely works when you know about it, but also, like I said, if you're a great team, you'll find a way to get through it. And in my opinion, New England, that they were just ready. They technically were almost going to lose. Just Tom Brady had a great comeback in him, drove him down the field, game-winning field goal. This is a 14-2 team that was dynamic. That was, of course, one of the best offenses in the league. Greatest show on turf. Putting in 31.4 points a game a night, being 17.1 points against, which ranks 7th, sorry. And they did super well, beating Green Bay, beating Philly. Just couldn't get it done against New England. And I mean, you're looking at the roster. They should have won. They should have won more than just that one Super Bowl in '99. I feel like they really should have won 2 or 3. I mean, they had Kurt Warner, they had Marshall Faulk, they had Bruce and Holt, as you guys know. Their line was pretty great, led by Orlando Pace, Hall of Famer in there, I mean, London Fletcher was a pretty great linebacker at 26 years old this time. Their defense was really not that bad. Their D-tackle had like 6.5 sacks that year, Brian Young. Ioannis Williams is one of the greatest shutdown corners in the league. And, yes, they may have not had a great defense, but their offense was pretty legit. So, in my honest opinion, yes, this should have been a team that won the Super Bowl against the very much underdog New England Patriots. I mean, just looking at what they did, they were getting killed the entire game for the most part. So, in my honest opinion, like I said, the entire game they didn't play well. Maybe they cheated. Of course, it's a big factor. But at the same time, like I said, if you're a great team, you'll pull through it. You'll use them, all the things you got, and you'll even kind of dab them with something that they didn't see before. They just, combine a new play or something, But adjustments, and it didn't happen. New England just were destined to win the game. But honestly, in my heart of hearts, I really wish the St. Louis Rams won that game. Number 6, 1968, Baltimore Colts. Yeah, this team should have won it. This team went up against the New York Jets with a very, very, you can say cocky, you can say arrogant, just a confident Joe Namath that just was like, we're going to win the game. Plain and simple. Back then, even now, I feel like that's just ballsy to do, especially with the 1968 team, Colts-wise, that was 13-1. Their defense was ranked first, okay? They allowed 10.3 points a game. On top of that, they were also getting 28.7 points a game themselves, which ranked second in the league at that time. And it's just one of these teams led by Don Shula that, yeah, they were ready. They wanted the Super Bowl, and this was a big win for New York. This actually put the AFL into a spotlight of, that's not a bad league. They won against the tough NFL league. So I think if they won this game, the Colts-wise, I feel like the AFL would not have been the AFC, which then in turn would be different. It would definitely be a different story in terms of the league-wise, the NFL. But you're just looking at what they had. And, first of all, no, this was pre-Johnny Unitas. They had Earl Morrall. He didn't have that bad of a year. It wasn't that great, but it wasn't that bad. I think for me, John Mackey is that guy that just jumps out at me as name. Fantastic. The line was pretty great. Led by Bob Vogel, had Bill Curry in there, which won with the Green Bay Packers before, so he knew about winning. And then the defensive side, Bubba Smith, Billy Ray Smith, Mike Curtis, Don Shinnick, Bobby Boyd, Lenny Lyles, Jerry Logan, Rick Volk. They had a lot of fantastic defenders on that side of the ball that honestly I thought they would have shut down the Jets. And, previously, you're looking at losing just one game. One game, that's it, right? And what they did, they beat the Minnesota Vikings. They shut down the Cleveland Browns 34-0 in the championship game. And then the Super Bowl comes around, and what can I say? They lost it because they never had it. This is a big reason they're not the top 10 defense of all time, because what happened was, look what the Jets did. 16-0 in the fourth quarter. Then the Colts score a touchdown. That's it. To me, if you're a great defense, you shut them down. You really do. You shut them down. And if you're a great team, you'll come back and you'll try to get points. You'll try to do something. You'll try to get a score. You'll shut them down. I feel like the defense had a lot of pressure to shut them down, but in my honest opinion, defensive-wise, you need to shut them down. You really do. Super Bowl, you got to shut them down. And if you're the offense, you got to step it up. And they did neither. So they didn't win the Super Bowl, no. Do they deserve it? Yes, based on everything, the statistics, everything, they should have won it. But they didn't win it because they didn't execute, because they weren't there that day. So, number 5, the 1969 Minnesota Vikings. Another Viking team that was there but wasn't there. And looking at it, yes, this is one of those teams that I feel so bad for, because this is one of the most electrifying teams, a team that definitely should have won. Talking about first in points for with 27.1, an average of what they scored. They gave up an average of 9.5 points a game. First, of course, and honestly, I think that's probably the lowest points they've ever given up by a defense in NFL history. I don't think there's ever been a defense that's given up that low points. So that just shows what they did. And they got through the playoffs. They went through the Rams. They went through the Browns. And they just lost to the Chiefs. So we'll look at that game more. But we're going to look at the starters and the rosters and everything. And it all starts with QB Joe Kapp. Again, this is before Frank Tarkenton. Okay, so it was Joe Kapp. They had a pretty good year from their halfback and fullback, Osborne and Brown. The receivers, Henderson, Washington, and Beasley was pretty good. Mick Tingleoff is really the biggest guy you need to know out of this entire line. They were a pretty good line for sure. Speaking about lines, how about legendary defensive line? You got Carl Eller, you had Gary Larson, you had Alan Page, Jim Marshall. That in itself, that line is scary. That's a scary line. And doing my video of the best defenses of all time, I apologize because I'm pretty sure that I never said Carl Eller's name. Carl Eller, yes, you are a big reason why this defense is super successful and why they are one of the best defenses of all time. You're looking at Roy Winston, you're looking at Lonnie Warwick, Bobby Bryant, Paul Krause, one of the best safeties in the game ever. Fred Cox was pretty good that year. It was okay, he missed 11 field goals though. But you're looking at, they were a dynamic football team that should have won it. But the problem was that their defense just let runs in, let some good passes in, and to the point where they were down 16-0, They tried, lost 23-7 in the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs team that was pretty good, but they weren't as good as the Vikings, and that's why this is one of the best teams that didn't win it all at all. And it's sad to say, but like I said, why are they top 5? Why are they not number 1? In my opinion, they just didn't show up that day. They were so close, but then again, they were so far. And they just, if they played better on defense, and if they had more to go, should have and would have won this game. They had Fran Tarkenton. I guarantee you they would have won this game if they had Fran Tarkenton. Fran Tarkenton, one of the most underrated QBs of all time. Number 4, the 2007 New England Patriots. How can you not put this team on here? This team is the epitome of what you call you get to the top and you don't get to the top. You win every game, but you don't. And this, you have to put this team on here because this is definitely a team that everyone knew they were going to win. The Giants have no chance. They're good, you know. They're good, but they're not that good. Their Cinderella story is going to end soon. That's literally what happened. That's literally what they were thinking. But that's not at all what happened. And that's really what I love about this story completely. And I'm sure everyone that's not a part of the New England Patriot fan base, or even a part of New England, they all love, except New England. They hate this story. I love it for how theatrical it was, you know, of how really unexpected it was. It's truly unexpected. It really is unexpected. So let's just dive into it. I mean, first of all, we're taking a look at the 2007 New England Patriots, a team that went 16-0 in the AFC East. They were beating teams left and right, scoring 36.8 points a game. That was first in the NFL in this year. And respectively, this is a team that actually got underrated defensively. They were 4th actually in points allowed. They only allowed 17.1 points. They were actually a very good, solid team. And they beat the Jaguars in the division round. They beat the Chargers. That Super Bowl showed something else, man. I'm gonna tell you, it showed a lot of heart from the whole giant organization, but it showed vulnerability from the New England Patriots. It really did. It showed a lot. It showed best of both worlds. It showed a lot of dramatic things. That's why, for me, it's the best Super Bowl of all time. Anyway, looking at this entire thing, I mean, we gotta start from the top. I mean, QB Tom Brady, 50 touchdown year. You know, only 8 picks. You know, he broke a lot of records that year. They had a fantastic guy in Kevin Falk. Sorry, I was going to say Marshall Falk. I mean Kevin Falk. Kevin Falk was a guy that, no, he wasn't the best running back of all time, but he was sure very, very great catching-wise. And they had a pretty good running back in Lawrence Maroney. I don't know if people really remember his name. Lawrence Maroney was pretty good. He wasn't that bad at all. And when you tag team Brady with Randy Moss, Dante Stallworth, Wes Welker, they had Gaffney in there. That was a pretty good receiving core. Kyle Brady was not bad for tight end. Wasn't the best. He wasn't that bad, you know. Ben Watson was pretty good that year as well. I liked Ben Watson that year. The line was great, you know. Started by Matt Light, Logan Mankins, Dan Coppin. Very good line. Very, very good line. On the defensive side, I mean, Vince Wilfork should be nominated for Patriot Hall of Fame, of course. NFL Hall of Fame, I can see it. I can see someone really looking deep into it. Ty Warren, a guy that people don't really know much about him, he was pretty good. He really was. You know, Brewski, pretty great the year. Adelius Thomas was great. They had Junior Seau this year. Mike Vrabel, we all know Mike Vrabel. Asante Samuel was one of the best corners of the game in this time and period. They had a future Hall of Famer, Rodney Harrison. You know, James Sanders was not bad. They had a really good defense. Stephen Gostkowski, very young guy. He was kicking field goals. Pretty good. It's pretty good. And like I said, they beat their opponents by a lot of points. I mean, they made the Jets, the Chargers, the Bills, the Bengals, the Browns, the Cowboys, the Dolphins, the Skins, the Bills, the Steelers, the Jets, the Dolphins. They made them all, and then you're looking at the postseason, the Jaguars, Chargers, they made them all look weak. They were very close of not being undefeated when you had games like, well, first of all, having the fact that they had game against the Eagles. The Eagles were super close to defeating them. The Ravens were pretty damn close to defeating them. The Giants were having a pretty good game actually there. And then the Super Bowl where they finally lost to be 18-1, not 19-0. And you're looking at that Super Bowl. That Super Bowl was just shutting down Brady, shutting down the offense, and miracles really happening. It really was a miracle of the New England Patriots winning that game. New England Patriots losing that game. They had a touchdown grab. They were in the fourth quarter. But somehow, someway, that helmet catch and the Giants got there. And that was it. It was over. They won. But it's one of these teams where you're like, they should have won. They really should have. Undefeated. I don't know. This one stinks. Number 3, 1990 Buffalo Bills. Honestly, what do I get from the 1990 Buffalo Bills? A team that really should have won this game. Honestly, really should have. Now, there's different things in the aspect of the game that they did. But, I mean, 13-3 team, their entire offense is legendary. Their entire team is legendary. They are the AFC team of the 90s, in my opinion, winning AFC 4 times in a row. Getting to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row, that's an accomplishment. You got to give them credit for that. And you're looking at, they had Jim Kelly, they had Thurman Thomas, they had James Lofton, Andre Reed, Jim Richter and Ken Hull, pretty great linemen out there, Their defense, Bruce Smith, best defensive end of all time. Cornelius Bennett, fantastic. Shane Conlon, not bad. Darryl Talley had a pretty great year. Leonard Smith, Nato Domes, John Hagee, people don't really know much about that. Scott Norwood, you'll hear about this guy later, but he was 20 for 29 field goal wise, 50 from 52 extra point. Yes, he missed, but he was a pretty accurate guy, for the most part. Not that accurate, but not terrible if you can get what I mean. But you're looking at, they first Miami, they beat Miami. They were just literally obliterating the LA Raiders in the AFC Championship game. And the Super Bowl comes, and yes, Scott Norwood missed the field goal. That's not his fault. That's not his fault that they lost the Super Bowl because of him. They lost the Super Bowl because, first of all, Bill Belichick is a really good defensive coach. He really is. He was a defensive coordinator for the Giants under Bill Parcells. Great staff for sure of that time. And he led a pretty great Giant defense, and they were shutting down this offense, okay? Shutting down all the way? No, you can't shut down the Bills' offense all the way. But this offense surprised me with the Giants. It really did. Otis Anderson, not a surprise. He's a great running back. Great running back. Definitely underrated. But the entire time I was thinking, dang, dude. How many missed tackles did the Bills have? How many missed plays did they get? How many, plays that they could have had, they didn't have? It's pretty much because this team wasn't meant to win it all. So all in all, yes, they really should have won. They really, really should have won it all because they were a better team. But they didn't show up that day. So I'm not feeling that bad of them losing the game, if you know what I mean. I feel bad for them, but they definitely didn't have it as hard as some of the other guys, in my opinion. Number 2, the 2016 Atlanta Falcons, the most recent team right now, being 11-5, winning the NFC South under really great coach and Dan Quinn. He's been doing a great job there in Atlanta. And, they weren't really the best in terms of points against. They were 27th ranked with 25.4 points allowed. But they were first in the league in points for. They had 33.8 points a game that they scored, which really is in turn, yes, this was a dynamic offense. It really was. And like I said, it led them to a great run. They won against the Seattle Seahawks in the divisional round in Atlanta. They beat Green Bay solidly in Atlanta. And then they head out to the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. And you're just looking at this roster in itself. This offense is very loaded. Matt Ryan winning the MVP. Devontae Freeman, very overlooked. Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu was great. Taylor Gabriel was actually pretty great. Levine Toilolo, not bad. Tight end was definitely kind of weak there. Their offensive line was very good. Alex Mack, Jake Matthews, Chris Chester, not bad. Their defensive line, their defensive pretty much team was young. That's a big reason of what it is. They just were not experienced. I mean, looking at what they had, Grady Jarrett, pretty good. Vic Beasley, finally starting to come together. Deion Jones was a rookie. Robert Alford was doing his thing. Desmond Trufant was doing his thing. Ricardo Allen, Keanu Neal. Keanu Neal was a rookie as well. There was pretty much 3 rookies on this defensive end, on this defensive side, sorry. They had a legendary kicker, Matt Bryant. Overall, fantastic team, right? So they're loaded. They get to the Super Bowl. They're up 28-3. Okay? You're thinking they're going to win the Super Bowl, and that's the only points they score is 28 points. Patriots come back. They win the Super Bowl in overtime, 34-28. Now, a big reason they're on this list is because, yes, they should have won because they were up by 25 points in the third quarter. You just need to stop. That's all you need, okay? Literally, all you need is one stop. And, yes, it was flawed. Yes, I can see the mistakes. Yes, Buffalo did not do what this team did. I'm just feeling really bad for this team that they really should have won because they should have won. They were a great offense. They exposed this defense super nicely. This defense of New England was okay. It wasn't that the greatest thing. Tom Brady was like 39. You're expecting him to age. You're expecting this entire thing to go. They were doing great defensively. They were shutting him down. That's why I believe they should have won the Super Bowl. But New England won it. Again. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, if they could have had one stop, could have had another touchdown, this would have been a different story. They wouldn't be on this list. I probably wouldn't put New England on this list if this would happen. Because in the end, Atlanta's offense was super, just, it was good. Their defense was young, and they just looked like the team that was going to win it. And I think, honestly, you got to get it done. They didn't get it done. So this is a team that will forever feel really ashamed that they didn't get it done. But they shouldn't, because they're young. I think they'll get opportunities. Number 1, the 2014 Seattle Seahawks are a for sure lock as a team that should have won it all. And being 12-4, winning the NFC West under Pete Carroll, being 10th in points per game, they averaged for 24.6. They were also first in points allowed, 15.9. Same team, got to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl last year. They got back. First of all, Carolina, they beat them pretty handily. Definitely got lucky with the Green Bay Packers, but they earned this spot because they were very close from, yes, they definitely should have lost that game against Green Bay, but they won it, right? They got to the Super Bowl, and they are so close from repeating. You're looking at a team that Russ passes it, gets it to Jermaine Kearse. Kearse made some miraculous catch, and they're at the 1 pretty much. Pretty much with the run from Marshawn, they're at the 1. All they needed to do was 1 yard. And Russ passes it. Malcolm Butler, really great play on his part, notices it, picks it off. Patriots are Super Bowl champs. Whereas Seattle should have been Super Bowl champs if they gave it to Marshawn Lynch. You give it to Marshawn Lynch, you win the game. It's literally that simple. You give it to Marshawn Lynch, he was the best back there in that time. You give it to Marshawn Lynch, you win the game. It's that simple. And the fact that they lost the New England Patriots, they should have won it. They really should have won this team. And, you're looking at this entire roster. They had a great QB in Russ. They had Marshawn, best back in the league. By far, he was better than DeMarco Murray that year, in my opinion. You had Baldwin, you had Kearse. Baldwin was more of a utility kind of guy. He was definitely better than Kearse for sure. Wilson, the tight end. Okay. Their offensive line was pretty good. Okung, they had Carpenter, they had Unger, they had Sweezy, they had Britt. Definitely a lot better than right now what they got. Their defensive side, Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett, Tony McDaniel was there, Bobby Wagner, Irvin, Wright. They had Maxwell, they had Chancellor, they had Thomas, they had Sherman. They had everyone. They had It was a great defense. It was a fantastic defense, and they had a fantastic offense, a very young offense. It was ready to, really provide something. They had a pretty good line, and like I said, they got there, got to the Super Bowl. We're thinking, maybe they got a shot, and you know what? They actually were playing pretty well for the most part. I mean, you're looking at a team that in the Super Bowl they were up at one point by 10 points. Definitely, Jeremy Lane's injury. It's a big thing. Their secondary was banged up, so of course they weren't their natural selves. But with about 2 minutes left in the ball game, they drive down the field again. Curses catch, and they're about to win it. They really are. It's like seconds left, and they're at the 1, and you give it to Marshawn. I don't care what you do. I understand, but it was like, I believe it was first and goal or second and goal, but either first or second, used to get at least a shot in there. Give Marshawn the ball. Feed it to him. They didn't do that. They just decided to pass it. Of course, it's not Russ's fault. Just a really good play by the defensive back. Ricardo Lockett did what he could. I feel like he ran the route a little bit lazily, but, that's okay. As a Seahawk kind of fan, like not me, I'm saying as a Seahawk fan, the general Seahawk fan, this is the Super Bowl that's going to hurt them more than Super Bowl 40 did for them, if you know what I mean. Like, Super Bowl 40 hurt, right, because they lost to Pittsburgh. This one is going to hurt even more. It's always going to be in the history books like, we almost could have won it, and we didn't. Should have given it to Marshawn, but we didn't. And so this is definitely a team that should have won it. They were better. They should have won the game. They really should have. But mistakes, injuries, all led to their demise.